Hey guys, it's Rodimus Primal. I'm back with another video, and today I want to give you guys my recap about the experiences I had at New York Comic Con, as well as some of my pickups, and some of the cool stuff, including some Transformers news that ended up happening while I was there. So sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Okay, so New York Comic Con has now come and left us for another year, but I had a absolute blast, at least the last 3 days, which I'll get into a little bit with some of the stuff that ended up happening. What we were planning to try and do was we left the house at 6 o'clock in the morning, hoping to get into New York City by 8:30, depending upon traffic, because it's like a 2-hour drive from where I live in New Jersey to get to New York City without traffic. And we were figuring that there would be some traffic, but it was raining, which meant that everybody decided that, hey, let's everybody hit our brakes. And, you know, you could see here in some of the pictures, in this picture here, the traffic was just bumper to bumper. Then getting through the Lincoln Tunnel, we didn't get into New York City until 10:30. Yeah. It took that long of traffic to get into the city. It was a nightmare. And we were trying to get there in time because I wanted to make sure that we were able to set up and get our cameras ready, because, well, the Transformers panel was at 11:15 on Thursday morning with Hasbro. And not only did we not get into New York City until 10:30, but we ended up getting to our hotel, and they would not not let us get into our room early. So we had to pay extra for them to hold our bags because they had already taken the car. And my dad was pretty cool. He had a what was called a Transformer. It's pretty much a scooter that actually like folds out, so you can like put it in your trunk and travel with it. Because he's disabled, so in order for him to get around, he has to go around the scooter. And so we had to go, 4 Avenue blocks down from Madison Square Garden to get to the Javits Center. And you can see here in this image, like, it's pouring rain, so we're walking in it. And instead of having us cross over at 11th Avenue off of 34th Street to get to the Javits Center, since of all the construction going on, we had to walk across 11th Avenue, walk all the way down to 12th Avenue, cross at the crosswalk, come back up to 11th Avenue to get to the front of the Javits Center in order to get in. And then on top of that, none of the lines made sense because everybody's trying to get in, and then you have to you're asking people like, I have somebody who's disabled. Do we have to wait in line? I mean, we already have our badges. Do we have to wait for anything? And then it's like, okay, no, you guys can go right in. And then we had to go through security, and security was like a good 10 minutes before you can even get through everything. And some of the people who were there on Thursday morning, like the security people, were nasty. They were just like, On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they weren't that way, but the ones who were there on Thursday, I don't know if it was the same people or if it was just the one jerk who was just kind of like, nasty to us. But we ended up going through security. We finally get into the convention hall, and I'm trying to get through the crowds to get to the Transformers panel, which is all the way in the far left corner of the Javits Center. And by the time I got there, John Warden is putting the head onto Zarak for obviously revealing first the Titans Return Scorponok. I'm just like, man, it's like, if we could have gotten there like sooner, I could have gotten that I could have gotten the whole panel recorded. I could have heard more about it, because apparently they talked about quite a bit of stuff and I missed it. But I did not miss getting to see Unicron afterward. And I obviously took images in front of Unicron. I was taking a lot of pictures. And you guys saw my live stream on Saturday while I was there. And, I was just excited to be there. But Thursday's energy was just not there. People were pushy. A lot of people were probably upset because they didn't want to put their cosplay on because it was pouring rain on Thursday. So all the cosplayers came out on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, but they weren't as prevalent on Thursday. Instead, it was all these people who only had Thursday badges. They were only there for Thursday. They were only there to get their New York Comic Con exclusives, and they were only there to push people around. Let me tell you something. I got pushed a lot on Thursday. Like, people were just rude. They were mean. They were nasty. There were more people there on Thursday, I think, than Saturday, which is saying something. I think they oversold Thursday, because normally Thursday is like the day to go to New York Comic Con, and you don't have to worry about the crowd so much. You can get and see everything you want to see, and especially if you're looking for, for good deals. You can usually find the toys that you're looking for, or the comic books you're looking for, or some of the, exclusives without much worry. This year, it wasn't the case. This year, Thursday was probably the worst day out of all of the different days that I was there. And on top of that, after we're heading back to our hotel, we decided to actually leave a little bit early. We were like, we're not staying the whole time. I'm not going to stay till 7:00, but and then go in any panel. I didn't even want to go to any panels. Like, that's how the attitude was with everybody who was there on Thursday. I didn't even want to go to any panels after that. I was probably more upset that I missed the Transformers panel. But on top of that, my dad's power scooter ran out of power halfway from the walk from the Javits Center back to the hotel. So we had to manually fold it up, and I had to carry that thing. I had to wheel it across all the way back to the hotel, which ended up running over my foot once, and my foot's been in pain ever since. But it was a challenge. It was definitely a challenge on Thursday. I ended up sleeping for 12 hours on Thursday night, to wake up early enough the next morning so we can get there nice and bright and early on Friday. And Friday was a much better day. Friday was definitely a much better day. The attitude of people were there. There were a lot of cosplayers that were out, and of course more of the cosplayers started coming out on Saturday as well. I went to the IDW panel, and this is the Transformers news, of course. And with the IDW panel, they were celebrating their 20th anniversary. They were talking about the different comic books that they were coming out with. And of course, they now have their rebooted Transformers continuity with their comic books. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not really a fan of the new storyline, maybe just because it's slow burn. Some people are digging it. I'm not. But the Galaxies storylines are kind of like a spotlight, almost like their current version of Spotlights. They already did the Constructicons. Apparently, issue 5 is going to have Cliff Jumper, and issue 10 is going to have Ultra Magnus. And Ultra Magnus, I'm guessing that they're going to end up talking about maybe why he has his armor, maybe why he's a white Optimus Prime underneath. I'm really curious as to how they're going to involve him in that storyline. But then again, this is the current IDW comic continuity. They're not trying to retell G1. They're trying to tell their own spin on how they would, start everything before the war. So it's not my thing, I'll be honest with you. But for those who are excited to see the storylines, go for it. The artwork is impressive for it being, I think Andrew Griffith, is doing issue 10. I know he did the cover for issue 10. So that's something to be excited about. And while I was there, of course, I saw, Anthony and Jeremy from Transmissions and TFU.info reverse that, respectively, which is pretty cool, because I'm always thankful to meet people, whether they're celebrities, whether they're fellow Transformers people, or whether they're fans of my videos. I met a lot of people while I was at New York Comic Con, people who enjoy watching my content. Speaking of which, I ended up having an interview on Sunday with Jim Sorensen, which I will have that interview up tomorrow, and that will be about the Transformers: A Visual History book. It's a really fun conversation because it's basically the two. Once we start talking about, you know, moving away from the actual book, we start talking Transformers as a franchise, and the two of us have some pretty interesting conversation there. And I really look forward to putting that video up. But on top of that, there was the panel for the Transformers: A Visual History, which was a really fun panel to have them talk about the different artwork and the different things that they end up finding to put into the book, of course, which I did will touch upon in that interview. Some of it's really, really cool. I definitely recommend like ordering that book. In fact, I have it like right here. It's well worth your time and your energy and your effort to get this book, because some of the artwork is impressive, and it's definitely well worth it. But on top of that, you know, there were a couple people who were trying to tap me on the shoulder while I was interviewing Jim, and unfortunately, I want to say this now, that I'm sorry that I did not like stop my interview to talk to you, because I'm in the middle of an interview. I'm sure you wanted to talk to me, and I would have gladly, you know, had a conversation with you afterwards. But you know, it's kind of one of those. I'm the kind of guy, like, I'm welcoming to everybody. So, you know, if I'm able to talk to you, I'll try to make time to talk to you. If I can't, I can't. You know, and so that's just basically, you know, how I ended up going with it. Now, for my pickups, I did not pick up as much as I wanted to. And the more that I went around to the different booths, I'm going to be honest with you, this year I was not as impressed with some of the stuff that was out there as I have been in previous years. There was, of course, the one of the tables that they were selling various different Transformers toys. In fact, they had Monstructor for sale. They had a lot of different G1 stuff, but they also had like Power Rangers and Thundercats and He-Man and anything that you can think of. I've seen them in previous conventions before, and I've been to their shop. It's actually here in New Jersey. They have a lot of cool stuff at their store, and I end up seeing them at RetroCon. I end up seeing the New Jersey Collectors Convention. It's like, geez, I can't avoid you guys, right? And it was kind of funny, and it was kind of cool in that respect. But I did end up picking up the Super Cyborg Megatron, which is the New York Comic Con exclusive, I believe. You can still pick it up, I guess, at Super 7's website if they don't have it out of stock. It's an 11-inch figure of Megatron as he's being transformed into Galvatron, which is a really cool thing for people who want to reenact that scene. You can actually take the chest plate off of Megatron and see like what his robot, inside parts are. And I couldn't resist. It was like one of those things where it's like, I'm going to splurge on this thing because there's not much else that I really wanted to splurge on. That's the thing. Like if you're at some of these conventions and you're like, I really want this, you're not going to be able to see it elsewhere. And that's kind of how I felt with this. But I did make a mistake when I was buying different things at the convention. I wanted to get some more Transformers comics to put maybe either on the wall or maybe just have to my collection, so I have more of the G1 comics, like the actual physical comics, not just the digital copies. And I ended up picking up the same issues that I already have, unfortunately. So I already have Aerial Bots Over America. I already have the Menasor cover, and I also have the issue with the Battle Chargers, So like, I'm like, man, I should have ended up picking up this issue or that issue, because there were 2 or 3 issues in the one vendor. Every other vendor did not have Transformers comics, at least as far as I could find. Some people, they scour the dollar bins and maybe they find it, and I didn't find it. So it was just through my own searching that, as I was looking for stuff. But I was also having more of a fun time taking pictures of cosplayers and, just trying to navigate the hallway. Sometimes it was so crowded that you could not breathe while you were there. They also handed out the Hunger Games you know, everybody was just, they were just handing out the Hunger Games before you even walk into the convention hall. It's like, I guess, you know, they want people to read that first novel, which was kind of cool. My dad ended up meeting the cast of The Expanse while we were at New York Comic Con. They had like this press thing. I guess it was early Saturday morning, and we were so excited to actually go to it because my dad's a really big fan of the show, and you know, they were welcoming to him, so you could see here he was just super excited, and they were well, they had to move along very quickly. They couldn't spend a lot of time there, but my dad was very happy to just, you know, be there for it. We also did the whole Star Trek universe, you know, thing where they transport you somewhere, which was a fun thing. There were a lot of other cool stuff that was there. There was the Dragon Ball booths, and let me tell you something, they go all out for Dragon Ball. They really do. They have the full-on statues for Goku and Vegeta, and they have you know, Shenron, like the dragon. They have the whole Capsule Corporation thing. That was pretty cool. There was so much stuff to see. Like, New York Comic Con is one of those conventions, if you've never been to New York Comic Con, it is one of those conventions where you'll go and you won't be able to do it all in one day, clearly. But then on top of that, it's sometimes a little bit overwhelming, especially with the crowds. And it's really a matter of like finding what you're looking for, finding out what you want to do, and making your point to go and do that. We did get a chance to meet some of the cast and the writer Warren Ellis and the director for the Netflix Castlevania series, which they did sign a poster for us, which was really, really cool. And on top of that, they announced, because we sat in on their panel, they announced season 3 for Castlevania. Now, I am a stickler for source material. You probably already know this. I do know that Warren Ellis has never played a Castlevania game, but I do know the directors of the show have, you know, are fans of the Castlevania games. And so they're trying to make sure they have that balance between Warren Ellis's own deviations from the source material to directing it to try to make sure that it has some of the elements from the video games. And quite frankly, I hope that more stuff from the video games ends up into the into season 3, because it really is necessary, because Castlevania, you know, should be treated with as much dignity and respect as any other franchise should. But the writing on the show has been good, and the action has been a little bit gory and violent, and the language is definitely not for kids, but it has been something that a lot of people have enjoyed. I've enjoyed it for what it was as a separate thing, but not so much as like, this is the definitive Castlevania. I would say the definitive Castlevania is the video games themselves. So, but that's just, you know, my own personal take on it, and I've enjoyed it otherwise. They also had a panel for Cis Manos, which is a brand new TV show. That was pretty cool. And there was a couple of other things that were definitely worthwhile seeing through the vendor's floor, through the different panels and such. I did not get to see everything. Nobody can really see everything at New York Comic Con. It is just that big of a convention, and it is definitely well worth your time to go to. And at the end of Sunday, we left exhausted. We left, you know, had an absolute blast. And, you know, I already miss it already. It's like I could have ended up going for 3 or 4 more days, thinking about it in retrospect, but then going to myself like, I think I needed a day or 2 to recover, you know. But I wonder what you guys think. You know, obviously I've got some more stuff coming on the pipeline. I've got the interview with Jim Sorensen tomorrow. I have, you know, more Transformers discussions, like scripts that are being worked on. If there's anything in particular that you want to see, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you were at New York Comic Con, you know, or if you saw some cool stuff, you know, of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.